All right, folks, so this is part two of our CMA series, and we've already gone ahead and created a presentation with a subject property, which is a property in Bedford. We've associated with our client, Jay Vino, and now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and find comparables. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can find comparables. I'm going to give you a little trick that I think will help you as well. When you're looking for comparables, my suggestion is to do it one status at a time. So look for the solds first, perhaps, and then the actives, and then the expireds. I just think that that's going to make life a little easier for you as you try to organize. I'll show you a different way that you can reorganize them once you get them there, but I do want to just suggest that that might make your life a little bit easier here. So two ways that we're going to look for comparables, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about adjustments in a later video, and then the last video will be how to set up your presentation as well. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and click on Add Comparable. We're in the CMA already, and we're going to step 2, which is Add the Comparable. And it's going to ask what type of comparable we want. We want a residential one. And you'll see that it then takes us to a search. And I had done a search earlier for this, and so I have these here. And it's important to understand when you're watching over here, so if I had that address still in here, there's a couple of ways that you can get rid of those criteria. So you can see I had this here, and there's only 9 results there, and we want to look for others that are comparable, not the actual search, not the actual subject property itself. Instead of having to scroll through and delete all that stuff, you can just take out those criteria over here by hitting those red X's. Okay, so now I'm back up to just a regular blank search. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to do the map search, but the first thing, like I suggested, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type sold in there, and I really only want to go back, and for sold properties, I want to use the firm date. I'm going to go back, we'll go back 18 months to make sure we get a nice bunch of results here. So you can see I'm still at 11,000 results here. So the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to now zoom in on the map, and this one was over just up off of, where's Mill Road? In this little subdivision here. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to draw a polygon around this little part of Bedford right here. And we'll get all of the results for the last 18 months for sold properties in there. And you can see I've got 6. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click search now, and that's going to bring me the results. And I can go ahead and look and see which ones I think are the most appropriate to add to the CMA here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to say that this one's important as well. And the third one that I think is the most comparable will be this one. So I'm going to click on those 3 there. And then I'm just going to simply go to this button here that says Add to CMA. And it's going to say which ones do you want? Do you want all of them? Do you want just the current listing, which is the last one we were clicked on, or do you want all 3 that are selected? In this case, I want all 3 that are selected, and I'm going to pick those. And you'll see we're back at our CMA window here, and I have got these 3 results, which are the 3 solds here. Okay. Now, one of the things is that you can't see the status necessarily when you first jump in there, so I like to go ahead and move the status over. Move the column of the status over so that I can see it a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and customize the fields here and go ahead and move status up. So I think that's a good thing for me. I'll move it up by the MLS, and you'll see that now the status is there, so that I don't have to really worry about what the status is when I'm trying to organize them. Okay. So, like I said, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to click on comparables again. And I want to go, I'm going to save those first, sorry, just before we do anything, just so that I have those there, okay? And I want to search for more comparables. So I'm going to just see if I can click on this again. And, sorry, it's the add button here. So I want to add more comparables. So I'm going to do the residential search. And I have that polygon saved there. So it goes back 18 months. So I'm going to take out that 18 months because I'm not going to look for sold properties. Now I'm going to look for actives and conditionals. Okay, and we're going to see if there's any there. Not any there. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go draw another polygon nearby that is going to allow me to find a few more comparables. So there just were no actives and conditionals in that area right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw a little different shape. And we'll see that some of these properties up here are comparable to that one. So, so that we can at least have something to work with. And you can see there's a whole bunch of actives here. So let's go ahead and do that search. And it's going to take us in and we can pick out the active properties that we want to compare with. And I'm going to use the following ones. Which one should I use? I'll use this one here, which I think is a good active comparable. I'll use this one here, which I think is a good active comparable. And we'll pick one more. We'll say that this one's a good active comparable as well. Okay, and then again, I'm just going to click on Add to CMA, the selected listings, click Select, and you can see I've got my actives now there as well. Okay, and third step would be to do the same thing, go residential, and in this case, I'm going to take out actives and conditionals, and we'll say expired, and we'll use the input date, in this case, the input date of 12 months back. And you can see we've got 4 that have expired in our 2 polygons there. And so I'll just pick those, I'll pick the ones that are the most appropriate. We'll pick this one, this one, this one, and this one, and we'll add them to the CMA as well. And so we've got those selected ones there, and we'll add those to the CMA. Okay, so we've got all of those properties in our CMA now. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save the CMA. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a different way that you can actually add properties to a CMA. Okay, so I'm going to close off that search. And I'm just going to be doing a regular residential search. So here I am just doing a regular residential search, no criteria or anything like that. I've got the CMA open. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm even going to go ahead and close the CMA because I've saved it now. And I'm just going to do a regular residential search just like I normally would be. And if you're comfortable just doing your regular residential search first, after you've got this sort of CMA set up, and you just don't want to, you want to just do a sort of a broad look around Bedford in the paper mill area for in this case. And I'm just going to look at, I'll just look at some sold properties to start, but you can translate this through to actives as well. And so I'm going to have a bunch of them come up because I didn't put in any statuses. So I'm going to have a huge number come up here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the status sold. And I'm going to say that I just want the firm date to be the last 6 months maybe. And we'll see how many come up. That's still a lot, but I'm going to go ahead and just search and I'll pick some out here and that I think are appropriate. And I'm just going to actually pick one in this case. You can do it with multiple ones, but I want to go ahead and just pick one and show you. So let's just find one that's pretty comparable. We'll say that it's, this one is pretty comparable. I think we've already got that one, so I'll use a different one here. We'll say this one, even though the price is a little outside of the range there, we'll say that that's one that we can use. Okay, so once I click that, there's an actions button up here that you'll see the 5th action down is add to CMA. So when I click that, I say I want to use the selected one and I want to add it to a saved CMA. Okay, so again, if you had 2 or 3 clicked at once, you could do the same thing. I'm going to say I want to add it to a saved CMA, and it's going to ask me which one I want to add it to. I'm going to choose the one that I want, which is this one we were working on. I'm going to hit select, and you'll see it'll jump me over here, and it should have added that into our comparables here. So that should be the 10th comparable that we have here, and you can see there it is right there. Okay. Now, when I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to print the CMA out, I'm going to have 3 solds, 3 actives, 3 expireds, and then a sold come back. So I don't really want that. I want this sold to be up with the other solds. So a couple ways I can do that. The easiest is just to drag it up there, and you can reorder them. And you can see why it's important to have the listing status visible for you here. So you can reorder them very quickly. The other thing you can do is always you can just click on one, and then you can have it move up by clicking up or down, and it'll move around with that. But easiest to just drag and drop it. Okay, so that's the comparables part of the CMA process. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a line.